Well, good evening, everyone. My name is John Meyer. I'm the board member for this district, the Wilson District 4. And we'd sure like to welcome you all for being here tonight. This is a very, very important gathering as we have before us the very difficult, challenging test to select a new superintendent. I want to thank you for the support that you've given our district. You've been fabulous. The 17 years that I've represented your district, you've all been so wonderfully supportive, and you've seen to it that we've had some bond measures passed that have really enriched our school. In fact, I was at Jefferson the other day, and believe me, those students are walking with a new hop in their step because of the wondrous things that renovation has done to that campus. So thank you one and all for your support. Tonight, we're going to ask you for the attributes and the concerns that you have in selecting a new superintendent. And we're having these town halls throughout the district in all of the board districts, and we're going to take your suggestions to heart, think about them very carefully, and fold them in to the decision that inevitably the 5-member board will have to make, selecting our new superintendent. And I'm personally delighted that we've set a May 5th deadline for naming our new superintendent because currently Chris Steinhauser then will remain in office for remain with the board for about 2 months to work with the new superintendent to help him or her get up to speed with the great challenges of this district. So once again, thank you very much for being here. I would like to introduce our Deputy Superintendent in charge of Human Resource Services, Ruth Ashley.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. Good evening. It's great to see you all here, and I so appreciate you taking the time to be with us, to voice what's in your heart and in your mind and what you would like to see for our next superintendent. Before I get into the agenda, I just want to share a little memory that I also shared with a group of administrators today, and that is a memory that I have from about 34 years ago. And I was going to be a brand new teacher. I had just finished my student teaching. I just had a baby. I was so excited to get started, and I had an assignment. And my assignment was to interview someone in the district. And at that time, my father-in-law was working for personnel. So I said, you know what, I need to interview somebody really well. He said, well, you know what, I've got a name of this gentleman, and in fact, I've got his name on this index card. And what I do here is whenever they do something really good and I see that they're worthy of a promotion, I put a little paper clip on this card. And so he handed me this card, and it says Chris Steinhauser. So he was one of the first people I ever met in this district, and he had all kinds of paper clips. So I call this the paperclip pipeline for leadership. Anyway, our systems are much more advanced these days, but it's just a story that I remember and how grateful I am for Chris's leadership, because he has been here for 38 years, 18 of those years as superintendent. And it seems very fitting that we acknowledge his leadership tonight before we get into our agenda. So thank you very much. So if you take a look at your agenda, you are going to see 4 different outcomes. We already talked about us gathering your feedback. And then we also are going to provide an overview of the selection process. The third item there is to gather feedback from all of you regarding the characteristics of a superintendent and really have an environment for appreciation here. And also to gather feedback on the district's strengths, areas of improvement, and issues to address or anticipate in the future. As you'll see, we have 4 different charts, so we're going to make sure that we get all the notes down from what you have to say. So this slide talks about the process and timeline. There are 4 different phases. We are currently in phase 2, but during phase 1, that's where the Board of Education identified the process and improved the timeline. Right now, we're continuing the public outreach efforts, and we currently have a recruitment window that will be closing on March 9th, where we will also be reaching out to various stakeholder groups throughout the community and throughout the district. And launch today was a thought exchange where you can go online and express your opinions. Phase 3 will be coming up soon, and that's where we have the application screening and interviews. That will start on March 9th and will go through April 24th. Phase 4, that is the appointment on May 6th, and that's where we will begin the transition planning with our new superintendent and our current superintendent. So going to phase 2, public outreach and our community forums. We're about halfway through, so again, thank you very much for coming here tonight. Our next venue will be at Renaissance on March 3rd at 6:30. We'll be going to Prisk. We're also going to be visiting Avalon, and then we'll end at Cabrillo High School on Saturday, March 14th. You also have an opportunity to visit these community forums via YouTube. So all you have to do is to go on to the district website, click the icon, and you can watch these as they will be live streamed. We talked about the thought exchange, and if you want any information regarding the superintendent selection process, you can just go on to the district's website on the A through Z index and click on Superintendent Selection. You'll see everything right there. This is phase 3 for the advisory committee. And this is a listing of all the groups that are being represented throughout the district and throughout the community. There's one member in most of these groups that will be represented on the committee, and the purpose is for them to gather the feedback, look at the feedback, and then be a part of the interview process at the initial phases. And then they will make their recommendation of all the semifinalists. They'll make their recommendations to the Board of Education. It is the duty for the board to hire that person. So it's simply a recommendation, but they'll be the first ones to vet them through. So I'm going to go ahead and list these members here. So bear with me because there's quite a few of them. There's 23. Probably 24. We are hoping to have a student voice on this committee from Californians for Justice. So we have 2 members from ALBUM, our Association of Long Beach Education Managers. The Assistants League of Long Beach will be represented. We have 2 board members who will be on the committee. That's Dr. Felton Williams, the president, and Megan Kerr. CCEJ, we have Cal State Long Beach, Californians for Justice. Classified School Employees Association, we have 2 members there from CSEA. The Coalition of Involved African American Parents, District Community Advisory Committee, DCAC, will have a representative. DLAC, District English Learner Advisory Committee, will have a representative. There will be 2 executive staff members, Ms. Yumi Takahashi and David Zaid. The Kamai Parent Teachers Association, Long Beach Council PTA will be there. National Association for the Advancement of Colored People will be there. The Pacific Islander Education Voyage Special Education Community Advisory Committee will have a rep. The Teachers Association of Long Beach will have 2 representatives, and the LGBTQ Center of Long Beach will have a representative as well. So this next slide talks about the superintendent governance standards, and that is a sheet that is attached to your agenda. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at this because it's going to tee up our conversation for the next few minutes. There are 11 governance standards to be adopted by school districts throughout the state. These are recommendations. And take a moment to read through this list and highlight, circle, underline any of the words or phrases that speak to you. Whatever resonates to you, take note of that. You have cards there, comment cards to take any notes. And after you read through that, I'm going to encourage you to turn to the next person you're sitting next to and have a conversation and see if your notes are the same or if they're different. And then I will be inviting you to come up front. Okay, so just take a few minutes. Feel free to have that conversation with folks next to you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt you, so thank you for engaging your shoulder partner there. So this is the portion of the evening where you get to come up and speak. And I'm going to invite anyone to come on up. What we'll do is we're going to write down the notes. These are the essential questions. What are the leadership qualities you would like to see in our next superintendent? And we will also be listening for what are the strengths of the district, what are our areas for improvement, and what are the issues to address or anticipate in the future. So we want you to come up here. We want you to go ahead and speak from the heart. And I'm going to ask for the first courageous person to come on forward. Come on. Take your time. Oh, hold on. We'll bring the microphone to you. Okay? You sure? Okay. I'll just hold on for a moment. He's going to come up here.
Hi, I'm Chuck Howard. I've been very fortunate. My children have come through this area. They went through Naples, Rogers, and Wilson, so they're great schools. I think the thing that I'm really concerned and all about is the fact that you read too much about different school districts and what happens. That this person has to be someone, which I've admired Chris for in the last few years, that can balance the needs of both being a businessman and an educator. Because one of the problems you read all the time is about how school districts are doing great things, and then all of a sudden they're bankrupt, or they have fiscal problems, or they're laying people off, or all of that. So the real concern I've had, and I think one of our strengths has been that we've been able to balance those two things as a district. We're doing great things for educating and targeting our goals, but also we're fiscally sound. And that's one of the big concerns that I have in this process is, can the next person really do that? Because that's a different set of skills. I mean, to be a great educator, it's like a great teacher doesn't necessarily make a great principal. Sometimes it's different skills. So someone, a great educator that knows how to fill in all the achievement gaps and everything might not be the best at doing budgets and long-term capital goals and things like that. I know the board's responsible for most of that, but they have to work in partnership with this person. So that would be my big concern. And one of the things I really see as a need, and I think that's been one of our strengths as a district the last few years, has been the ability to balance that and do all those things.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Our next speaker, please. We may get, okay, very good.
My name is Hilda Delgado. I'm a new parent to the Long Beach School District. And when I first moved to the city 3 years ago, my home school is Longfellow. But one of the things I learned, I was, because I came like in October, I was transferred to Gant because Longfellow, it's one of, if not the largest elementary in Long Beach. So needless to say, because I came after my daughter finished TK there, I decided to move her to private school because of childcare issues. And after a year in private school at Bethany, I learned that my kindergartner, or in this case TK, son had high functioning autism, and decided to move my children back into public school. But one, again, my homeschool is Longfellow, and it's been really roller coaster in terms of dealing with the school. Right now, I transfer my son to Naples, and he's definitely getting the attention that he needs. And one of the things I want to share is that my observation and in my experience in the district is that obviously there's overcrowding and there's no school equity and across the board, and it's very visible given my personal experience. And I think in addition to equity, the recommendations that I received at Longfellow are completely disproportionate to what the recommendations that I received at Naples. And this is my concern, because we are doing a disservice not only to the teachers, to the parents and the principals. It's like the curriculum that I observed at Gant was extremely disproportionate to the curriculum I saw and I requested from Longfellow. And needless to say, I have still a child at Longfellow, and I see the curriculum at Naples, and it's still extremely disproportionate to what my son at Naples is receiving. So I think there's no curriculum that helps students achieve success, and especially, children with special needs in overcrowded schools like Longfellow. Children simply do not receive the services or the attention or the help that they need to be successful compared to other schools. So I think that those are the issues in terms of a superintendent. There needs to be, as it was mentioned, an administrator that is fiscally responsible, but also understands that there's a need in this community to create equity across the board so that every child is able to succeed. And the other observation that I had was that many of the teachers that had tenure within the union were accepted or became teachers at better schools. So, there's a lot of opportunity to give either incoming teachers and teachers with curriculum, whether they're qualified or not, access to the different schools, not because they're tenured teachers, they should be accepted to the school. So I think that's another issue to be considered. So thank you for your time, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. We have our next speaker coming up. Yes? Excellent.
Hi, my name is Robin Creason. I'm also a teacher in Long Beach Unified for the last almost 25 years. I live around the corner. We walked here. My two sons went to school here at Wilson High School, and we were very happy with what they received here for an education. I do see what the last speaker was saying about equity across the district being a little different at each school. I know as a teacher, we're all trying our best at all times with what we're given. The best thing that I wanted to come up here, the most important thing I wanted to say was that Chris Steinhauser has always been someone with an open door policy. No matter what you wanted to talk about, you felt safe going in and talking to him as a teacher, because there are problems here, there are good things here, and just his open door policy was very important to me and my fellow teachers. We do have a big problem here, but it's throughout the state because of declining enrollment with large class sizes. I know they're talking about doing all-day kindergarten with 32 kids possibly in the classroom and very little help. Teachers need help. We need a superintendent who understands that we're working really hard to do our best, but when there's 30 children and not enough rec aides or cafeteria workers to supervise things. It's very stressful on teachers and therefore makes our job really hard. I find myself very lucky to have worked in Long Beach my whole career, and other districts are having a hard time too with money. But the thing I want to really stress is that Chris has always been there to support us and get things done if there has been a problem. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Creason. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. Just make sure you introduce yourself.
Okay, hi, yeah, hi, my name is Jyoti Nanda. I'm a parent of a child at Fremont Elementary School, and I have a son at Rogers who will be at Poly in the fall. I have been one of the parents that has been helping to organize to open the playgrounds at Fremont. We are excited that on Saturday, 16 of the playgrounds will be open. We wish it was more schools, but we're excited that it happened. So I want to thank John Meyer for his open door policy to meet with us, and of course Steinhauser. This would not have happened without him. I spent the day putting up the signs across the neighborhood about the playground to announce it. So I'll start there because it's a positive thing that's happening, that we're reopening the playgrounds. So I would say the strengths, I'm a law professor by training and study disability, race, equity issues. So these are all things that are really important to me. Public school educated myself and first generation in the United States. The strengths to me of the district are the openness and the commitment to excellence, balancing that with sort of the diversity. What I anticipate we're going to need to work on, the issues to anticipate in the future is, as the teacher mentioned just now, the low enrollment. We're already seeing that with Fremont for next year. The teachers are concerned and the school's very concerned about the enrollment. What I'm really concerned about, as you can imagine, having done the organizing for the playground and having to think really deeply about community and safety, that we are really kind of living in this culture of fear right now in the state of California and just across the country. Part of why the playgrounds were closed, because we went to a closed district because of the fear of violence. But when you really digged beneath that, what we tried to explain to the district, which I think they agreed, was that the playground is really the community center, and that the way you keep communities safer is if communities know each other and there's access. So we will be very much interested in the new superintendent and the board and all the members that you listed up there, what their take is on kind of the new cutting edge ways to think about safety in the community, the new cutting edge ways to think about wellness, the way across the country school districts are training teachers to think about trauma related to special education, just kind of this new sort of cutting edge way that a lot of people are sort of thinking about. So I'm really interested in this new superintendent's interest in bringing some of the new ways in which people are thinking about these issues to the district. I think that the children deserve that and are kind of hungry for it. I also think, related to what was said earlier, that the kind of private public partnership is going to be an increasing issue. I mean, I know those of you are here from a lot of different schools, but at Fremont, we've had years where we haven't had funding to even fund our science teacher. And there's sort of businesses all around us where there's potential partnerships. So there's business, public-private partnership, technology. The district was a wonderful district. My kids are both here, I said, and we're committed to it, but it's very behind technologically compared to other districts across the state of equal caliber. So I think that's something that the school district is going to have to anticipate. And then the last thing I'll say is, and Steinhauser has been here longer than most superintendents last across the country. I think a district of our size, on average, superintendents last on average 6 years. So the fact that he's been here so long has been really an asset to us. What I, of course, worry about, though, is that, someone coming in sort of with all these issues that we have, the ones that are in the news today, the ones that have been in the news about inclusivity, about racial equity, are things that this new superintendent is really going to have to address. And I think that I'm hoping that the board sort of really broaches that in an honest way, because I worry otherwise that it'll be really fractured. So that's sort of my hope. So, and thanks. And the last thing I'll say is I really appreciated these community forums. We tried really hard to get our community to come, but I wish that the advertising for this had been better. I hear from the district a lot quicker about other issues, and we heard about this. Today I actually tried to look for the flyer that was sent to us so I could send it to more people, and I wasn't able to find it. I actually had to dig back into my own Facebook to when I posted it. So I appreciated that you did this, but I feel like this was really created in a way that really wasn't inclusive of most people in the community, and I want to state that on record.
Thank you, Jovi. We hope that you did get school messenger that was sent to your text and to your phone and to email, but if not, we have to make sure that you do get that, because we've been blowing up phones actually and emails. Okay. Okay. Right, okay. Absolutely. Thank you, yeah. Okay, next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Jackie Apuzzo. I'm a parent of a third grader at Patrick Henry Elementary and an eighth grader at Keller, who's soon coming to Wilson. So I want to echo a little bit of what I heard other parents say. I think Mr. Steinhauser has been very open, the open door policy. I heard him say so many times, this is a good problem to have. I don't know if you've all heard him say that, but I've heard him say that plenty of times. He's been a generous supporter of dual immersion education, and hearing people talk about the enrollment issues, the two schools that my kids are at are heavily desired, lots of applications, lots of families get turned away. So I think that's both something to show that dual immersion is very popular and in high demand, and then I think the district really needs to continue to expand that and develop that. But he has been a great supporter of it, so I would like to see whoever takes his place continue to support that. I also am concerned about classroom size. If you look at our school and our teachers are teaching in another language and have 30 kindergartners in their classroom. These teachers are just amazing. They're rocket scientists to me. I don't know how they do it. So yeah, classroom size I'm really concerned about. I'm concerned about the equity, people being turned away from the school. That want dual immersion. I see other models in other cities where it's not just Spanish and English, there's other languages. Our community's so diverse, we should be offering other languages. What else? I think I'm really curious to see how they're going to identify who the candidates are, because I don't think someone from another part of the country, a transplant, can come and step into his role. I think it's going to really be important for someone to be local, that knows our community, that knows our teachers, that knows our students, that knows Southern California. So I'm concerned about that, and I hope that's someone local, is selected. I think that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you for coming up. Next speaker. Okay. Well, if not, okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Otto. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Doug Otto. I'm a product of Long Beach schools and have had kids go through this system and now have 2 grandkids that are involved in the system. But I think what we're here for tonight is to talk about the characteristics of a superintendent or the superintendent that we would like to have. It's a subject that's near and dear to my heart because I see succession planning as one of the most important things that goes on in education. I'm on the board at the Long Beach Community College District and chaired the group that chose Eloy Oakley as the superintendent president there about 13 years ago, and I learned a lot in that process about the need for it to be inclusive, the need for everybody to feel like they'd been heard, the need for everybody to participate in the process so that they owned it when it was done. But I'm particularly sensitive to that process right now because I'm running the selection process to replace Jerry Schubel as the CEO of the Aquarium. I've been on that board for 25 years. We do great things at the Aquarium, but it's gonna be different. And I literally, before coming here tonight, wrote an email to my search team members saying, we've got our big meeting on Friday, and here's the things you need to think about when you talk about replacing a person in charge. You need to have somebody with visionary, stated leadership. And what I mean by that is somebody that's got a point of view and shares that point of view. Can't keep it inside. It's got to be somebody that says, this is what I believe, this is where I want us to go, this is where I want to take you, and share that, because especially with all the diversity that we have in the city of Long Beach, and it's increasing on a daily basis, that visionary leadership needs to be stated. Secondly, you have to pick somebody with a history of ethical leadership, because the things that go on, especially in education, have to do with ethics and the teaching of doing things well, and you can't hire somebody who either surprises you or maybe didn't have a full toolkit of what it needs to get things done. And probably last, you need to have somebody that can read a balance sheet, because it's a very, very complicated business. Several other people have alluded to that. And my wife and I have been talking about this and what it means, and I keep coming up with this old phrase out of this song that it says, it feels like home. You want Long Beach Unified School District to feel like home. You want it to feel like a place where everybody can be comfortable, can be successful, can be encouraged to succeed, because in the end, it's all about success. But in order to do that, you have to develop a culture of community engagement. And that means everybody's in. We say about our special needs students, all is all. That's really the whole district, all is all. And that's the way you make a good district. I can't, until I started studying this district, I was mind-boggled by the complexity of what it is. In Nevada, in Texas, even in New York, the Ed Code is a couple hundred pages. Here, it's 1,000 pages. Title V is 2,000 pages. And while not everybody is expected to know all that, those are the rules by which we operate. But the greatest thing about education is that it's not a business. It has to be a business, because you've got important things to do, and if you don't have a business perspective on things, you can get swallowed up with declining enrollments. Our pension obligations are going to double in the next 5 years. Not that people are going to get more money, but we're going to have to pay more of it, and that's going to be something to look out for, especially with declining revenues, and other areas are going up. So, returning to where I started, we're picking a superintendent. We're picking somebody that can lead us, somebody that can share a vision with where it is that we're going to go, that we can sign on to or say, hey, I'm thinking about that. I'd like to do more of that. Somebody who has a history of ethical leadership, and a person that knows how to read a balance sheet, so that the wonderful thing that is the Long Beach Unified School District, and I, on a daily basis, am amazed at how it works so well and has for so long, that those are the qualities I think a superintendent needs.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Otto. Anyone else? Okay. Well, with that, I want to thank you, but I would also like to call up John Meyer again to give some closing statements. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. We did capture your notes, and I wish you all a good evening. So come on up, Mr. Meyer, and you can give our closing comments.
Well, thank you again, one and all, for being here, and for the speakers who takes a little bit of courage to come up and air your views like that, but they're valuable, and we've recorded them, and we'll certainly throw your suggestions in the mix when we go to make this very difficult decision about choosing a new superintendent. Inevitably, that falls to the responsibility of the 5 board members, but getting all of the information and input we can from you is very, very important. So thank you again for being here. We appreciate the support you've given our district. Nothing is more important than our kids. In fact, I think I remember an old quote: when the lives of children cease to be central, that society most certainly is in a state of decay. So thank you very much for being here.